And that's the one that probably really annoys me the most, and that really just makes my blood absolutely boil. It's Mel here, and welcome back to Mel's Blind Life, the YouTube channel all about blindness. Today is Sunday, which means it's another guide dog video. I'm so excited. I love bringing guide dog videos to you guys, and I think you guys seem to enjoy them probably the most as well. So today I'm talking about some guide dog misconceptions and telling you the real truth about these things that the general public don't really understand. So I've got Penny lying here on the couch next to me. Hey Pen, can you say hi? No? Okay. And we will get started with the video. So these are in no particular order or anything like that. They're just, in the order that I thought of them. So the first misconception really is that my guide dog or a guide dog works around the house. So a lot of people think that because a person is blind or has low vision, they are unable to navigate in any environment, not just in the CBD of the city or on the footpaths and sidewalks around their home environment. No. Some people do think that a blind person doesn't even know their way around their own house. And how do you combat that issue? You use your guide dog in the house, of course. No, that is completely wrong, you guys. As you have seen those of you who have been here for quite some time, my dogs are both off lead, out of harness, and they just get to have a general run-of-the-mill time when we're here at home. A blind person should know their house like the back of their hand. They should know where everything is. They should have a really clear mental map of their house, and they also should have a very good mental map of their own backyard in order to not require an orientation and mobility aid for mobilizing around their home. The only exception to this for me personally is because I live in a block of 3 units and I am the back of the 3 units. To take my rubbish bin, trash can, whatever you want to call it, to the curbside every week to have it collected by the rubbish truck, I do use my cane to walk down the driveway in those instances because that makes the travel down the driveway more fluid. It also means that if I'm not walking straight, I hit the side of the driveway with my cane rather than falling down it myself and possibly twisting an ankle or something like that. And it also tells people, if my neighbors are going to drive down the driveway in their cars, or if someone is walking along the footpath, which I have to walk across to get to the edge of the nature strip, it tells them that I can't see them and they have to be sort of more wary of what I'm doing. But that is the only time that I use a mobility aid around my own home. The only other sort of time that I would use a mobility aid inside would be if I was staying at a hotel or something like that. But as for the dog is concerned, what I would usually do at home is as soon as we get home from a walk, we come in the front door, I shut the front door, and I immediately remove her harness, I remove her working lead and collar, and I replace her house collar, and she is free to do whatever she likes around the house within reason. So she is allowed to come and sleep here on the dog couch. She has toys that she can play with. She's got 2 bowls of water, one here in the kitchen and one in the bathroom, that she's got access to all the time. The only rules sort of really are that she's not allowed to sniff around in the kitchen and, you know, clean up any food or whatever that has been dropped in the kitchen. And she's also not allowed to do that around the dining table. And of course, she's, you know, not allowed to jump up on kitchen benches and try and eat food and stuff like that. But that is something that the dogs are taught from a very young age in their puppy training. The second misconception that I think happens a lot, which is kind of related to the first one about the dogs not having any time at home to relax, is that I need someone to look after the dog for me. I very vividly remember one time when I was living in Melbourne. I was working in a suburb, probably about a 40-minute train ride from where I was living, and I was on the train. It was really packed, and we were standing up, and this lady had asked me the normal questions about the dog and everything. And then the weirdest question I think I've ever had a dog related to the dog was asked of me from that lady, and she said to me, "So who takes the dog's harness off? Who looks after the dog for you?" Me, lady, me. One of the things that is, I guess, really emphasized and is highly stressed and taught to you from the very beginning, sometimes for some people even before they actually get onto the waiting list for a guide dog, is how to look after them and how to do that properly. It is essential that the guide dog handler is the one who is the primary carer for the guide dog, because that assists in the development of the bond, and it assists with both the dog and the handler knowing each other, you know, out of harness as well as in harness. It gives them, you know, it gives you time to bond, it gives you time to have a positive experience with each other, and it also sort of, I guess, makes it clear in the dog's mind that, you know, you are their master. They listen to you out of harness, and if they don't listen to you out of harness, then you can't expect that dog to listen to you in harness. You honestly can't. So from the very first day of your training, and as I said, maybe even if you do some kind of a test drive program before you get onto the waiting list, you are given your dog and you are made responsible for all aspects of your guide dog's care right from the beginning. On day 1 of class, that is all you focus on. At my guide dog school, all we did on day 1 was learn how to walk the dog on lead, learn how to toilet the dog, learn how to feed the dog. The instructors were there supervising late into the evening to make sure that all of us had done all of the dog care appropriately, safely, and that there weren't any mistakes made, that there weren't any problems, and yeah, just that it had been done properly and that we all knew what we were doing. Now, I'm not saying that you should never let someone else look after your dog for you, but I just have to stress that when you are around with the dog, that is your responsibility to look after your dog. If, you know, something untoward happens, like, you become ill, then yes, if you have a partner, they can feed the dog. For example, if you're so desperately ill that you can't get out of bed for 5 minutes to feed the dog, if you're ill and you can't get out of bed to exercise the dog, you know, a partner or parent can take the dog for a walk. But if you are around, if your dog is around, it is your responsibility to look after your guide dog. I have seen, and I've had it happen myself, where people in a family situation, for example, you know, the parent might take over the dog care, which isn't appropriate. A sibling might take over the dog care, and it can happen very quickly as well. So that is one of my sort of main things to stress is, unless you are desperately ill, please look after your own dog, especially in the first, I'm going to say, 6 to 12 months. Now, for me, I'm actually going on holiday at the end of January. I'm going to New Zealand. I can't take Penny with me. So because of that, I obviously can't look after her. So she is actually going to be looked after by her puppy raiser for that period of time. So when you do go on holiday, if you need someone else to look after your dog, make sure that it's someone who you trust with your dog. I'm very particular about who looks after my dogs. I will only let someone with guide dog handling experience or with a lot of dog handling experience look after my dog. I will not allow just anyone to look after them, and that's one of the reasons why, especially this early in our relationship, I am only allowing Penny to go to her puppy raiser, because I know that that puppy raiser is someone that can look after Penny and will provide the best care for her in that time. So the next 3 misconceptions are talking about when the dog is out working. And I think the biggest guide dog misconception when they're in harness is the dog knows how to cross the street. No. This dog, if I asked her to tell me when to cross the road, you would be standing there for hours just waiting for the dog to decide that it's safe to cross the road. These dogs are not trained to cross the road. I hope soon to do a video about crossing the road with your guide dog. I just need to sort of tee someone up to do the camera work for that. But dogs cannot cross roads, guys. They have no road sense. They don't know what to do. So you've got to remember that these dogs have the intelligence of approximately a 4-year-old human child. So would you expect your 4-year-old human child to be able to tell you when it's safe to cross the road? No, exactly. So don't expect a Labrador to do that either. So the question then begs, how do I cross the road? Basically, if a blind person goes, the guide dog's job is to find the way straight to the crossing point, whether it's a pram ramp with tactile ground surface indicators, whether it's just a pram ramp, or whether it's like a curb at the end of the footpath with a step. It is the dog's job to find that that point. If it's a traffic light, I have trained my dogs, to Darcy and Penny, I have trained both of them to press the button at the traffic light and then to find the curb. So when the dog finds the curb, you go into the stop position, which is with both of your legs together, lined up with the front legs of the dog. Then you, the handler, have to assess the traffic. You have to listen to traffic coming from all directions, and you have to assess when it is safe to cross. When it is safe to cross, in your opinion, you step back with your right leg to go into position number 2, which is basically with your left leg still against the dog's shoulder and your right leg sort of back towards the dog's back legs, and you do a forward swinging motion with your right hand at the same time as saying forward. So effectively what this is the signal to go to the dog, and the dog must step off first. You can't say forward and then take a step yourself, because one of the important things about crossing a road is these dogs are trained in what's called intelligent disobedience. And what that is the ability for the dog to ignore a command, such as the forward command, if they think it is unsafe to follow out that command. So say, for example, with the road crossing, if you tell a dog to go forward and there's a car coming across in front of you, sort of, within the meter or so in front of you, then they will ignore that command, because they can obviously see a car coming across in front of you, and they just, they won't go because they can obviously see that that's dangerous. Same if you're at a flight of steps. If you tell the dog to go forward, and you sort of haven't realized that you're at some steps, the dog may not go, because there might be someone coming up the steps, straight towards you. Or if you're on the edge of a railway platform and you tell the dog to go forward, the dog obviously won't go forward over the edge of the railway platform. So that is the third misconception about a dog knows how to cross the road. So the fourth misconception is about interaction with the dog in public. And that's the one that probably really annoys me the most, and that really just makes my blood absolutely boil. A lot of people say to me when I'm out in public, "So you're not meant to pat them, are you?" Yes, that's absolutely correct. You are not meant to pat a guide dog. You are not supposed to interact with that dog, because for a very, very, very good reason. It distracts the dog. Can you imagine if you're, say, a nurse, for example, and you're in the middle of, fitting an IV cannula into an emergency patient and your mobile phone rings? Are you going to answer that mobile phone, or are you going to just continue to do your job? Say you're a teacher, and you are in a classroom with 25 little children, and your boyfriend sends you a cute, lovey face or whatever. Are you going to respond to that message? Probably not, because you're at work and those things are distracting you. So in essence, if you interact with a guide dog, that is distracting them from their job, and that can put our lives in danger as handlers. So that is something that I'll do a video on, at another time as well. But the thing about it is, people say, "Oh, so you're not supposed to pat them, are you?" But then they ask, "What is the dog's name?" And you tell them, "Her name is Penny." And the immediate reaction from, I'm going to say 99% of the population, is to then bend down to the dog, make eye contact with the dog, and go, "Hello, Penny, aren't you cute? Oh, you're doing such a good job helping your mummy, aren't you? Yes, you're a good girl." Yeah. Thanks, guys. That's my guide dog. Totally distracted. So my biggest thing about this, and I'll touch on it in a video all to itself because I think it deserves a video all of its own. My biggest thing is, please pretend my guide dog does not exist. She does not exist. I know she's super cute and she's super cuddly, and it's so amazing seeing a dog in a shopping centre, on an aeroplane, on a train, on a boat, on a, you know, in a cafe. But please pretend she isn't there. She is there to do a job. She's there to do an extremely important job. She's also there to keep me safe. She's there to keep me safe. She is there to stop me from falling down a flight of stairs, from tripping over something on the ground, from running into a pole. She's got to do her job, and she's got to do her job properly. And the problem about it is that as soon as you talk to her like that, I'm going to give her a correction. Because if you do talk to her like that, especially with Penny because she's such a young dog, and with any dog, a lot of these dogs, because they're such social animals, they are going to step towards you and try and get that interaction from you when you talk like that. So I'm going to give my dog a correction, and I'm going to say to her, no, leave it, because she needs to concentrate. You are trying to ruin her concentration, and if you have succeeded in ruining her concentration, I have to focus her back on her job. And to do that, I have to say to her, no, leave it. And if it's really bad, I might have to give her a little pull on her lead, or a little, tug on her harness to get her attention back. And then you're going to turn around and accuse me of being abusive towards my dog because I've told it off and given it a correction. So please, guys, yes, you can't pet them, but no, you also can't interact with them. That is the biggest problem, the biggest misconception. I will do another video on that at a later date. So the fifth and last misconception that I'm going to talk about today, I'm sorry I've gone on for ages, is the idea that the dog knows where she's going. And this is kind of tied into the whole business of how she knows how to cross the road. So a lot of people think that, I don't know, maybe they think that dogs have got a map in their head, or that they can read a map or something like that, and they know where they're going. No, it doesn't work like that. Our dogs do know destinations. We spend quite a bit of time working on them to learn destinations that we go to all the time. We teach them our house, we teach them a coffee shop, we teach them the supermarket, we teach them our places of work, all of those kinds of things. But they don't know how to get from home to our favourite coffee shop, for example. In my case, that walk from home to my favourite coffee shop is 1.5 kilometres. So it's quite a long way. So what actually happens is, when the guide dog and the handler are walking anywhere, the handler, every time the dog leads the handler to a pram ramp and a crossroads, the dog will stop at the pram ramp and wait for instruction. So the handler must be oriented to exactly where they are in the environment, whether it's just off their own brain because they know where they are very well, whether it's because they're being guided by a GPS or an IRA agent on their phone, or whether they're being guided by a friend who they might be walking with, whatever. The blind person must know exactly where they are and exactly which direction to tell the dog to go into from that pram ramp. So they do pick up after a while that you might turn left at a certain road every time, or that you might cross a road and then turn right or something like that, but they don't actually know their way. You can't put the harness on and say, get me to the coffee shop. So what happens is, on the way to wherever you're going, you will be commanding the dog to go forward, to go left, to go right, all of those kinds of things, because in your brain you know where you're headed. Then when you get to within, say, 20 meters or so of the location that you're trying to get to, you'll start cueing the dog, find the coffee shop. And then the dog will find the door into the coffee shop because it recognizes, you know, the different cues. It recognizes that, you know, maybe when it first learned how to get to that particular coffee shop, the dog was given a treat, a positive reinforcement to remember that coffee shop. So the dog will go back to the coffee shop because it remembers getting a reward there. So it will, you know, it will aim to please. So it will go there again to please you, so that you show that you're pleased with it by giving it a food reward or a praise or whatever it is that really motivates your dog. The other things that help them find locations like coffee shops are the smell, also the sight. You know, dogs can see, but, you know, obviously not as much as a fully sighted human. So they'll see it, they'll be able to visually recognize it, they'll be able to remember a treat or a positive reinforcement of some description, they'll recognize the smell, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, these dogs don't know how to get anywhere. They will always, as I say, remember that at a certain point you always cross and turn right or something like that. And after a little while, if you do the same route over and over and over again without changing it at all, the dog will probably just do it automatically. So it's a really important thing to change your route up a bit. Do it differently. Don't do it exactly the same every single time. So then if you do decide to do something different one day, and you've been doing the same route, the same for 4 years, and then you decide to change it, it turns into a battle of wills against your dog wants to go this way because that's the way it's always gone, and you want to go the other way because that's what you're doing today. So that is the 5th misconception. And that also brings us to the end of this video for today, guys. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a long one, but these 5 things are kind of important for me to talk about. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. I hope that you've learned something as well, and that I haven't come across too horrible, especially about the whole patting thing. It's just something that gets on my nerves a lot. And, you know, I think it needs to be stressed about, you know, the correct way to do it. Please, if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to my channel and click the bell notification to be informed of new uploads. Also, please remember to share my videos with your friends and family and people who you think might be interested. We're nearly at 200 subscribers, which I'm super duper excited about. And also, for those of you who are in Australia or other countries around the world and you've been hearing about the massive, big, horrible, nasty bushfires that we've got going on over here, I'm completely safe. I'm miles away from the fires themselves. The only thing that we've got here is a little bit of smoke haze, but you know, that's no big deal. But you know, those of you in other countries, other parts of Australia, please keep East Gippsland and southeast New South Wales and all of those other places in your prayers and thoughts, and just pray that this issue is resolved quickly and that everyone can be made safe again, and that these communities, you know, who are suffering at the moment can be brought back to life in the future, and that the fires can be put out, and that hopefully not too many more lives will be lost, and that just that everyone is okay. And if anyone who does watch my channel is in East Gippsland or Kangaroo Island or any of the fire areas, I hope to goodness that you are safe. I hope that your family is safe. I hope that you're going to be okay. I just want to send all my love out to you guys. You know, massive support to all of you. It must be, I just can't imagine how horrendous it must be. So yeah, let's all just pray for those who are in the fires at the moment and that they stay safe. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.